In the year before we started the service, I returned to the school as a counsellor, and during that time I encountered a lot of young people who had experienced bullying, had felt themselves to be in difficulties with their peers, and for every young person that actually turned up for counselling for bullying and being the victim of bullying, I was always conscious that there was another person who was not in the counselling room who was the perpetrator of this, who in my mind was also a victim, so to speak, of this conflict. And so it felt to me that it was important to look for some kind of mechanism, some way that we could address the needs not just of the young person who was being bullied, but also the young person who was at the other end of that, as we say, the perpetrator.
We had the aim of the sixth form being an aspirational place where there were no limits to what the students could achieve, each of the students having discovered his or her own pathway. But we also knew that we had to be a community within the wider community that had the potential to lead and to be role models for that wider community of the uniformed students, but also of all those who had an interest in the success and development of the sixth form.
So I think the difference with Bacon's to other schools was that they asked us to train a group of sixth form students, which we'd never done before. We'd always trained uniformed students in the past. So we was a bit unsure, but to be honest, it's the best thing to do. I think wherever school we go into, I think it'd be good, obviously still to work with uniformed students, but the sixth formers, they've got the 3 periods, and we can also take them out in the community and work on cases with us there too, can't we?
Yeah.
I would say when we had, first of all, our interviews done, after it had been announced at the assembly. So yeah, it was quite exciting. It was something new. No one really knew what we were getting ourselves into. So my strongest memory would have been that day when Dave came and did the speech for our sixth formers to join mediation.
We're conscious that in schools, disputes happen all the time. Bullying takes place, people fall out with friends, fights take place. It becomes a very difficult situation because you're not prepared to stand down. You're not prepared to lose face, and that becomes difficult. Ultimately, what happens then, if it gets too heavy, people get excluded. The objective for this project is to train 16 people as apprentice mediators so they set up their own project within the school.
I think people were fascinated to see what was happening, so they wasn't afraid to come to us because they wanted to see what it was. I was actually really surprised at the reception that we got and how sort of the whole school folded into it and really took it on board.
This course is about learning about yourself. So whatever happens today, you've all said that you can take something away from that, okay? So it's not for everybody about winning or losing. It's about the skills that you've learned and how you feel about certain situations now.
Teachers say blame people, something like saying you done this, so you go away and the other person gets in trouble. But with mediation, they instead of blaming people, they actually sort out the problem.
They are, effectively being adult, as far as I'm concerned. They are taking a very adult responsibility and dealing with it in an incredibly mature way, in a way that couldn't probably be bettered by adults, actually. I know they are young adults, but yes, you see what I'm saying. I've just been very, very impressed. And it's something that we want to keep.
I think in terms of my role as head of year, having a mediation service has been incredibly useful. It means that a lot of the low-level arguments between students can be addressed very simply, and a restorative justice can be in place. And then if that is in place, then we can work on some of the more challenging, long-standing issues.
Even from their point of view, something that seems very big, it can then be kind of reduced to have something that's a bit more manageable, and then, like I said, something can be resolved and they can move on from the situation.
A lot of things which I would have to mediate with the students have been done by experienced students, and obviously made my workload a little bit lighter.
It's not as limited as other opportunities are to deal with the situation. In this, like in mediation, you know, we try to get the students to talk more first. So it's an opportunity for them to say how they feel, to speak up about what they think personally, and, you know, it's an opportunity for them to not do it when all the other students are around who are going to make it more crazy, more hyped up. So for the students, it's definitely a big opportunity of how to deal with it in their own way, in the way that benefits them the best.
I don't believe any of the Year 8s who've had mediation have come away sort of negatively about it.
Every time I go into mediation and that, it always works, and like there's never been once that it hasn't worked, and that like we follow the rules and that, like we do what we're asked to do, and if there was more rules then we would probably follow it, and it's just a good thing to have, because like if we didn't have it then there would be fights and like exclusions and all that all the time.
They help you to not get angry easily and give you advice, and when they say whoever stays in this room, they mean it. They don't go tell someone else, they only tell like their partner.
After I went through the training, you kind of learn mediation isn't about telling people what to do. It's kind of like a listening process, learning all the facts, learning everything, and kind of like being in an environment where two participants can safely talk to each other without disrespecting each other or anything. And that's what we kind of learned.
I mean, the training entails obviously the basic mediation process. The process is identical to what we use when we train adult mediators. But what's on top of that is their listening skills, looking at body language, looking at how they come across, looking at the body language of the clients that they're going to be sitting in front of them in terms of conflict. And lots about respect, working as a team. That's crucial because they're working as a team, as a whole team, but also you're co-working, which we believe passionately in. So you've got to be able to work with your co-worker, and this is important to us. And they thoroughly enjoy the training, and it's equally light and enjoyable because we want them to absorb it. But it's interesting because when they start the training, they think it's going to be easy. But a couple of days into it, they start to realise how tough it is, because you're actually trying to revisit things you thought you'd done anyway. Everyone thinks they're a good listener.
I think the training was really good. At first, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought maybe we'd have to do a lot of written stuff, but it's actually been a lot of practical things that we were doing, a lot of hands-on activities, and yeah, I've learned a lot from it.
So we'll have like role plays. We'll have like two clients to create some like a situation, and we'll have to resolve it as mediators. So we go through like the ground rules and what we're trying to achieve through mediation and so on, and then we ask the clients questions about what happened and how to resolve the issue further.
So I think that the mediators in Year 12 are really, really enthusiastic about like mediating. Through the time that I've spent with them, I think they have a lot of questions, but that's good because they want to learn and they want to mediate properly. I think they're, after like kind of doing some demonstrations and showing them how we mediate, I think they've really picked up on some little things that really make a big difference, like kind of putting your own twist on it, and kind of bringing your personality to the mediation. And overall, the year 12 group are looking like maybe the best group that we've had come through. So, yeah.
So the mediators, the peer mediators, the sixth formers, went into the communities where our Bacon students lived. And I think that was really important in helping to bridge any gaps that there might be in terms of the perception of the students between college and home.
Okay, so I did the documentary in year 13, Kicked Out Kids, with Mel, and it was basically us mediating, I remember 2 sisters, and it's just like normal sort of sister disputes where it's like, she won't stop talking on the phone whilst I'm sleeping, that kind of thing. But obviously it was made a lot harder because of the situation they sort of lived in.
The girls are meeting Mel and Frim from Southwark Mediation to see if they can help.
Me and my sister, we argue a lot. We have a lot of disagreements with each other. We don't really listen to each other that well. And then petty little arguments will just start, and then we'll hit each other. And if I can't count on my mum or my dad, then I want to count on her as well, and she can count on me.
So yeah, we just sort of tried to mediate that as best as possible. Obviously Mel did a better job than I did, I think. Looking back, I kind of wished I sort of put more in, but I mean Mel does this for a living, so she would find it easier. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. It was a really good experience. And then it just sort of showed what mediation is like outside of the school setting. Also very, very helpful.
I was given the opportunity to speak at the Prince of Trust. They had a fundraising day whereby there were other founders there for charity events and stuff, and I was given the opportunity to do public speaking and promoting mediation at sixth forms and really showing why it was important.
So obviously the impact on the majority of the student body who are helped by the mediation team is obvious. It's there for everybody to see. Teachers have far less of these niggling, silly little behavioural issues that used to dominate a lot of their time. So the impact of that on the student body is clear to see. But what's also really important to remember is the impact it has on the students who actually perform the service. And what we're seeing is the calibre of student that comes out at the end of this process, having been a mediator, is just hugely impressive.
Year 11, he wasn't the best behaved student in the school. It could be a bit off with the teachers that he didn't have much time for, in that kind of narky teenage way. And year 12, there was a real change. He did, I think, the sixth form and mediation really helped him to grow up and change from a stroppy teenage boy to a young man who could see that he could make a difference in the world.
I think it's changed the way I listen to things and listen to people, and just changed the whole way I think about people. It's opened my eyes up to every single situation having multiple different sides to it.
He did change, yes. I think the mediation service, the training, gave him a lot of confidence because he really enjoyed it. And then as time went on through year 12, you could see that he was gaining a lot of confidence and really enjoying doing it.
As well as all of the normal skills that come with mediation, while you're in the sixth form, you learn a lot about responsibility, and being a mediator puts you in quite a position of not power, but you have a lot of responsibility on you, and I think having that responsibility really teaches you some important things about life.
Well, I'm really proud to have the mediation service because I've been head of 4 other schools and none of them have had a service anything like the one that we have here. I think it's a win-win all round. I think it obviously addresses issues that people have and need sorting out, But I think the skills that the young people develop by being part of the mediation service, to me, are the real key, real life skills that they'll learn here, they won't have an opportunity to learn elsewhere.
I think personally it's changed the way I think about the world. I'm less bitey towards conflict. I'm far more calm, I'm laid back. I think about situations as a whole rather than in isolation. And at the moment I'm part of the military, and it's very hierarchical, and everyone thinks that it's all about shouting, but a big part of being a leader in the military is something called emotional intelligence. And mediation has helped me massively with emotional intelligence, which is about being able to read people, being aware of different people's situations, having empathy, and really putting yourselves in someone else's shoes. So that's something that I really value now, and something that I'm quite good at thanks to the lessons that Dave and Mel taught me 4 years ago.
Because we were the first group, I think there was a big challenge, and it wasn't an easy road. And I know for Mel and Dave it wasn't sort of, you know, plain sailing, and they worked so hard, not just them but sort of the whole Southwark Mediation team, and we all worked really hard as well, and we wasn't sure what was going to happen, how it was going to turn out. And as we can all see, it's been amazing, and it's celebrating its 10-year anniversary. So I think all of the teams throughout the years have done a great job, and everyone has still been ambitious, because unless everybody pulls their weight together and works hard, it would never really work. So it's a credit to everyone that has been involved.
Stick with it, stay strong, stay loyal to the team, because I know sometimes that can be hard. It's quite a significant lot of time you put towards it, but it's definitely worth it, and you will see the benefit of it as you move on into adult life. The skills you learn will stick with you for the rest of your life. They'll become part of who you are, and you're going to have the tools to resolve and avoid conflict. So yeah, enjoy that and use it.
You are a mediator for life. You might not realize it until you get out, but that is it. From the moment that you started doing the application, I think that's how they're still processing recruiting mediators. Once you start in that process, at the beginning it feels a bit shallow. You feel like, oh no, I'm just being me. No, you've been a mediator. You wipe away off who you are. You put on the mediator face and garment on, and yeah, you are mediator for life. I stopped in 2009 and we're 2016, and I can still take a case and deal with it as a mediator. So do enjoy your time, and it will help you for life. It was the best choice you've done, really.
And I also think, you know, don't underestimate the power of every single team member that was trained by us for Bacon's. You know, you are what made this service what it is, you know, and I feel privileged, to be totally honest, absolutely privileged to be working and be able to work, and hope to continue to work with young people.
Our ethos is an ethos which is about forgiveness. It is about an ethos that says, you know, we all make mistakes at times, that's part of life, but actually in our school we believe that we can forgive each other, not just by forgetting, but actually working through these difficulties together, that we can provide a place where people can sit down and look into each other's eyes and say, look, this is what I did. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, I hurt you. I didn't realise it affected you like that. And I think that process, providing young people with that kind of process is profound, and has a profound impact on the wider community, because it is very much about our ethos in action.
So, you've got a conflict, don't you? So, you need resolving, don't you? And you're sitting around wondering what the hell to do, crying, or you're angry, or maybe simply true. Have you ever